All right, let's dive in. So, hey there, everybody. Welcome to Death of the Blue Link, first Swiftkick webinar in the series we'll be doing. Should be about every month. We'll let you know at the end of this one what our next one will be. I'm kind of pumped about it. And for those of you who didn't sign up, still time just to hit the form on our website if you want to get the field guide. And then be sure to check back on this channel here in the coming few days, week or so maybe. We'll have a link in the description for the research report that we put together to build this presentation from. So, yeah, let's dive in. We are in the middle of the most profound structural shift since the commercial internet began. For 20 years, we optimized to rank our sites in a list of blue links. It's a big white page, bunch of blue links, maybe a few purples, some generally unhelpful descriptions under each, and an increasingly frustrating number of unrelated or misleading ads. Well, that era is ending. Today, we're moving from SEO to Generative Engine Optimization, GEO. Getting the chatbots to talk about you, recommend you, and send people to your site, or just buy from it without actually even going there, which we'll get to. And I'm going to give you some super helpful evidence-based directives that you and your team, your dev team, your marketing team need to navigate it. So the easiest way to understand this shift is the librarian versus the consultant. Traditional Google was a librarian. It handed you 10 books pretty much instantly and made you figure out the answer. You'd have to page through them, read through them, probably some dead ends in there. Hopefully you find your answer. Very few people would ever look beyond 10 books. AI search is a consultant. It reads the 10 books, plus a whole lot more, pretty much instantly, and hands you some options. It provides you a neatly summarized recommendation or set of info or whatever it is you might be looking for. Our goal is no longer fighting for ranking. It is fighting for trust. So the consultant recommends your brand. So if you're relying on traditional SEO reports, you're flying blind. Traditional SEO methods, still useful. We'll get there. But SEO reporting, you're flying blind. It's very hard to tell what's actually happening behind the scenes with the way we traditionally would have been tracking page success in whatever KPIs or success metrics that you're using. So according to SparkToro and SimilarWeb's clickstream study published this past June, 68% of US Google searches this year ended without a single click to a website, which is nuts. And here's the big one. And this comes from Ahrefs, who analyzed 863,000 keywords and 4 million cited pages this past March. A year ago, 76% of AI citations came from Google's top 10 results. That number now, 38%. So the same Ahrefs data shows roughly a third of AI citations now come from pages buried past rank 100. So why? Well, context window, probably, we suspect. Resulting AI model behavior is a bit of a mystery, even to the devs that build them. hence the annual another AI turned racist news stories. But we all know the models can hold more information in their brain at once, which is what we call the context model. So it follows that they can read more results to weigh against. So the result, PageRank and AI visibility are becoming two different games. And PageRank doesn't matter quite as much. So how do you actually get cited? You engineer your content for extractability. The benchmark here is the Princeton GEO study, published at the KDD conference in 2024. So it's a little old, but I mean, relatively speaking, this stuff moves so fast. It's crazy to think that 2024 is a little old, but that's where we're at. Their researchers found that adding specific statistics to a page improved AI visibility by roughly 41%. That is the single strongest action tactic that they measured. Citing authoritative sources added another 30 to 40%. It's one thing for a UPF clothing company to say regular clothes let in skin cancer causing ultraviolet rays. It's another thing for them to say a recent Harvard study showed that, with a link to the study. The latter builds trust. The AI models will learn from and take what you're saying for granted far more if you're actually linking to studies that back up your claims. And by building that trust, it is therefore more likely to recommend you and talk about you. And here's my favorite part of that same Princeton data. For everyone who isn't the market leader, the lower your page ranks, the more these tactics help. Brands around position 5 in the overall ranking of the brands for that product, for that market, whatever it may be, they gained up to 115%. GEO levels the playing field. So one of the things to note here is this comes from putting the direct answer to the sort of questions that people might be asking, whether it's what product is good for this, why is this product good, whatever, putting it in the first 40 to 60 words of that page. This, again, gets into the whole machine learning context window thing, but it is valuable, and it increases that visibility that much more. So the next strategy, mentions. Mentions are the new backlink. AI evaluates your brand by reading the whole internet, not just your website. Muckrack analyzed more than 25 million links cited by ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini, and updated the study this past May. Their finding, 84% of what AI cites is coverage you earned rather than bought. News stories, reviews, community posts, whatever. X/Twitter, all those. Unlinked brand mentions in news articles, Reddit threads, niche forums, they are the new backlink. If the internet thinks highly of you, the AI thinks highly of you. And one thing I have been trying to dig into a little more is seeing how Discord is actually affecting this, because we certainly know that all these niche communities are happening in Discord. It's hard to say how much they're actually able to train off of some of these private forums, but something we're keeping an eye on. If you run a local business, this gets sharper. Soshi's 2026 local visibility index looked at 350,000 business locations. and found ChatGPT recommends only 1.2% of them. Because, oh my God, have you ever tried to find the phone number or an address of a local restaurant or business page? It is a total crapshoot. Impossible to find phone and address on their website, conflicting hours and info between the website, the Google Business, Yelp, wherever else you might be looking. AI looks at all of them and it can't figure it out, and you get filtered out of the results. So making an earnest effort for the local businesses out there, making an earnest effort to make sure that all the data out there about your business is consistent and accurate and up to date and findable and semantically coded. We'll get to that in a moment too. Some handoffs for your dev team. Essential. But here's where this is heading next. From answer engines to action engines. Users are starting to tell AI agents to not just research and compare, but to book and buy. And OpenAI actually shipped a commerce protocol called Action Schema. So ChatGPT can complete transactions. It's on by default for most online platforms. So Shopify, Etsy, I know has it. But for many self-managed sites, so if you have a site on WooCommerce / WordPress or Magenta, you might have some work to do, especially if you're not updating your plugins very often, which in our experience, most WordPress sites are not. The winners of that shift are sites whose data is machine actionable, not just machine readable, machine actionable. If the AI agent can't figure out how to do business with you, it will do business with a competitor it can parse. And that's where Action Schema comes in, and the coding side of it, which I'll mention in a moment, and ensuring that there is your page is built in such a way that the engines can actually figure out how to take action on your site. So while we're not looking to get too deep in the tech weeds, we here at Swiftkick, we are obviously developers, we're designers, we're consultants. We're not looking to get we're not speaking to developers here, but we can tell you how to speak to your developers. So these are 3 directives you can hand to your tech team, whoever they may be, this week. First, and likely the easiest and quickest, audit your crawler access. Block the training bots if you need to protect your IP, where you generally don't want these models figuring out how to write based on your writing or learning how to create pictures of people based on the pictures of people on your site. Block the training bots if you need to protect your IP or it creeps you out. But you must allow the real-time search bots, which actually have different names and they show up differently on your site stats, and the user-triggered fetchers that hit your site live when someone asks an AI about you. It uses this thing called RAG, retrieval augmented generation. It's reasonably new. I mean, everything is, in the general speaking, when you talk about 2024 being old, it's new in that sense. Or not new in that sense. It's new in the actual human time sense. But a previous slide mentioned that 66% of businesses are invisible to AI models. This is a big reason why. The blocking of the fetchers and real-time search bots. Blocking those, it's digital erasure. You cease to exist to them. It'll see some mentions of you. It'll see people talking about you, and that will build that trust, but it won't know anything about your website, and it won't know what to do, and it won't be able to take action on it. It won't be able to send people to it. They can't be blocked. Second, eradicate div soup. which is a dev term for when your code is completely unreadable to human or machine. You're not using what we call semantic HTML so that the bots can tell an article from a footer. If you have an address tag, getting back to local businesses, if you have an address on your site, you want to wrap it in an address tag. It just, two angle brackets and it says address. And then the machines know, oh, this is an address, or they're calling it an address, as opposed to a div tag that just says div, saying a division on a page, that you've maybe added a class or something that calls it address, but the bots aren't able to make the same assumptions on that data. So using proper semantic HTML, so bots can tell an article from a footer, and it's actually the same work as accessibility compliance and SEO. So if you've already been keeping up with your accessibility compliance, your ADA compliance, and you got a good SEO team, you may already be doing this. It's one effort and two wins. But if you haven't looked into this yet or a while, it's definitely worth digging back into. And the third is to deploy deep structured data, which is it's a block of code that sits at each page that sort of very succinctly states all the facts about your page, your product, your brand, whatever it may be. It states them right there, top of the page, machine readable, and so it doesn't have to guess them or figure it out, and possibly be more likely to hallucinate based on the rest of the content on your site. So, all right, so you have your dev team do these things. Now you want to know, all right, did it work? Because clicks are dropping. You can do all these things and go, well, good. Fewer people are coming to our site, so clearly it didn't work. No, the clicks are going to drop no matter what because of how people are using these chatbots. Traditional analytics undercount your real visibility. The new KPI is share of model. How, or SOM, you'll see it abbreviated. I hate that stuff, but how it's how often does the AI recommend you versus a competitor. You track it with what they call golden prompts, branded solution and comparison questions. 25 to 50 of them. You run it on a schedule across several platforms. By platforms, I mean GPT, Claude, Gemini, etc. The Meta one, if that doesn't collapse in the next week. But you can't do this manually in a browser yourself. You can't, because your history biases the results. Use the tools that pulls the API clean. And if you want to really kind of scare yourself, and when I say your history biases the results, sometime hop into one of those and ask it, what do you know about me? And it's pretty creepy. It's pretty creepy. But your history, what it knows about you, it will bias the results. You won't get the kind of results that maybe someone else is getting. So yeah, the number of these tools that it says on the slide there: SEMrush, Profound, Ahrefs, ZipTie is one that we've dug into a little bit. They will run these golden prompts regularly and in a clean state. So how do you justify the budget? I mean, the things we're talking about here, they have a time expense. Maybe they have an actual cost expense if you're hiring a vendor like Swiftkick or some other external support. How do you justify the budget? Well, first, intent. And what I mean there is specific to the traffic. AI referred traffic is at the moment smaller in volume, but it converts dramatically better. The most cited case comes from Ahrefs' own published funnel data from their own site, their own product. AI search drove 0.5% of their traffic, 0.5%, but 12% of their signups, which is it's nuts. It's like 23 times conversion rate. It's one company's numbers, but the pattern seems to hold across the industry. The AI pre-qualifies the visitor. They've already done the research. They've already asked the AI. They've read the results. If by the time they're hitting your site, they're ready to take action. So second is velocity, which what I just said leads directly into that. Sales cycles get shorter because the AI has already done the comparative research. They're not coming to your site and adding a product to cart and then checking other sites and then price comparing and feature comparing. By the time they get to your site, they've made the decision. The AI did the comparative research for them, and that's what they're on your site to do, to follow through. And third, unlike paid ads, citation authority doesn't evaporate when you stop spending. It compounds. The models learn on what they learned on. They don't forget what they learned on. It's been trained and baked into the model. The more they recommend it, the more they see it, gets trained further into the next model, so on and so forth. Compounding interest, it is crazy what an impact it has, which is why it's so important to start now. We'll talk about that in a moment. So I told you all kinds of stuff that we know, all kinds of stuff that stats are showing, but there's still so much that we don't know, especially because this stuff is changing constantly. Whether it's GPT launching a feature like the agentic purchasing thing that I'm blanking out of nowhere on the name of, or it's new models being released, which every other month there's a new model. It's been totally newly trained. So there's still so much we don't know. And you're not going to hear this stuff from other vendors. They just want to promise what they know. But it is so important. It's so important to know what's uncertain. So AI citations are volatile. Profound analyzed 240 million citations and found that 40 to 60% of the sources in AI sites change month over month. Some of that is perhaps because when we talked about the beyond page 10 search results, that these models are still so deep in the training phase that every time they train, the landscape is changing completely in what it's learning. So a single snapshot means very little. You manage trend lines, and hopefully, if you're doing all the right things, the trend line for you goes up. Now, the other thing is attribution inside the chat interface. It's genuinely unsolved. We can do these golden prompts. We can make inferences based on what we're seeing there, but actual true attribution inside the chat interface is genuinely unsolved. And even outside the chat interface, GPT will more often than not, append a little UTM equals ChatGPT to the end of the URL so that if someone clicks to your site from ChatGPT, that will be recorded in your analytics. But for some reason, it doesn't always do that. Claude and Gemini don't do that. They may have just started. I have to look into that. But it's certainly not consistently, because that's how these models work. It's all statistically based in terms of what they generate next, what word, what token they generate next. It's statistical, so it cannot always do the same thing. And finally, the industry has a whisper down the lane problem when it comes to these stats, these factoids. Numbers get garbled as they pass from study to vendor blog to slide deck. Earlier drafts of this very deck carried one of those garbled stats. We caught it by going back to the primary source, realizing we had the wrong info in the deck and correcting it, which again, not necessarily something that a lot of other agencies are doing, especially if they're just relying on the AI to generate all their stats. So that is the discipline this field needs. The strong opinions, which I famously have in spades, checked sources, and the willingness to update when the evidence moves or we find out it was just wrong in the first place. So why can't this wait? And I'll leave you with this. AI systems have a feedback loop. The sources they cite today shape what they trust tomorrow. Building citation authority now, while most of your competitors are paralyzed with indecision, it's cheap. It's cheap to do it now. Displacing an entrenched competitor later is expensive. And here's what makes this an easy decision. Everything we covered today improves your human user experience, your accessibility, your traditional SEO, your overall page usefulness, all at the same time. These are no regret moves. The only losing play is waiting. So, yeah, thank you for those of you who joined us and sat through this whole thing. So let's open it up for some questions. So looking at our Q&A. All right, so out of all the things you have recommended, what would be the first one you'd recommend everyone to do? So, yeah, I had mentioned this earlier in the slideshow. Absolutely, the AI bots, making sure the AI bots have access to your site. If you are blocking them, you're invisible. You can disable the training bots if your IP is important, but the search bots, the retrieval bots, they need access to your site. If anybody needs help, I mean, Cloudflare can do that automatically. If you're using Cloudflare, a lot of the platforms, Shopify, they'll take care of that for you. But if you're running a custom site, if you have a dev team these are the kinds of things you absolutely need to ask them. It takes 5 minutes to check, and it's so impactful. Hopefully that answered your question. Question 2 on the deck here. If AI overviews and chat manners, if AI overviews and chat answers keep eating clicks, is traditional SEO worth investing? Or should we shift budget? Yes. So as noted in the last slide there, that it is absolutely still worth investing in SEO. I had mentioned at one point that only half a percentage of traffic to Ahrefs was AI. So yeah, there's a shift towards AI, and the AI traffic that we're getting has that 23 times conversion rate. But there's still lots of people using traditional search, even though Google is broken. I mean, just broken. People are still using it, and they're using it in significant numbers. But even more so, that all the SEO work you do, also it's a prereq for GEO. It's not competing work. They go hand in hand. So it's not a substitution. You do your SEO work, it is GEO work. There's no reason not to. It's also worth noting that the top 10 rank, it overlaps with AI citations, and that fell from 76 to 38%. That was the number we mentioned earlier. A third of the AI citations now come from pages ranked past 100. So, for the people who are using the chatbots, the ranking, well, it no longer guarantees AI visibility. So the budget does need to cover both sides. And by both sides, I mean handling the mentions. That's the kind of more GEO focused stuff. But even the mentions, Because oftentimes, we mentioned that dimensions don't have to be backlinked. That backlinks aren't as important as they used to be. Generally speaking, if you're being talked about, at some point, someone is backlinking you. So you focus on that too. The next one, it's a repeat. You said citations to earned media matter way more than backlinks. Just talking about this. Does that mean we should stop link building entirely and just choose PR mentions or public relations? I think that PR mentions instead. No, the finding is correlational, not a replacement directive. Ahrefs, their what was it? The 75,000 brand study found that branded mentions correlate with AI visibility roughly 3 times stronger than backlinks. But Ahrefs' own caveat applies. The correlation isn't causation. Any good scientist will tell you. So don't read this as links are worthless. If you're getting backlinks, you're getting talked about. If you're getting talked about, it's a good thing. It's the same effort. And as with so many things here, we cannot be 100% certain, and we don't know how things will change in the future. So keep working on it. And the traditional backlinks do still support core SEO ranking, which itself feeds the AI candidate pool per slide two was it? So the practical move is to add that earned media PR effort alongside the link building, not swap them out. Since the 84% of what's cited is earned coverage, the team should now be actively pursuing, which was that the Muckrec study in slide 5. So not seeing any more questions come in. Anyone else has any other questions? I'll give it another 30 seconds or so. There's a delay in YouTube too. I don't know why. It's annoying. All right, I guess we will call it there. Thank you again, those of you who joined. Appreciate you immensely. If you folks need any help with anything, you know where to reach us. And just to repeat a previous note from the beginning of the slideshow, there will be the research report that we put together and built this slideshow out of. That will be in the description for this video when it is edited and goes up on our YouTube page, the recording of it. Look for that research report in the description there. And for those of you who are, just came and didn't actually sign up on our website, the GEO webinar page, hop in there, drop us an email, and we can send you the 2-page field guide, sort of a nice layman overview of everything you might need to know. Nice little kind of thing to read before a meeting. You sound like a cool expert. A little field guide PDF we're handing out. So, yeah, I think that about does it. Thank you, everybody. See you next time. Oh, next time. AI automation and guidance webinar coming up another month or so. How to dive in to this stuff, the actual using the AI, not the AI search, but actually tools, how to dive in, use it for your site, for your processes, without actually breaking everything, which is, it's happening. So, yeah, see you then. Bye, everybody.